Boy, all I could think about you two, and I'll be honest with you, I was really happy for you two. You all, you all may have needed that Sky Moore game more than Sky Moore needed it. I mean, I don't know anybody else involved in the Kansas City Chiefs that were this invested into the Sky Moore. I really did. And Sky Moore, I felt like I'm certain Serta got up in his out of his seat or wherever he was and jumped up and down or did something. Um,
It did. It was like the
after
13
the long
second
catch,
game.
yeah, I know.
I was
I know.
jumping up and down like the 13-second AFC divisional round game against the Buffalo Bills when Sky Moore caught that pass.
The shame, right? Like it's a damn shame. You ever seen Little Big League when he said, "God, you think you look how excited you are for this CNI single that 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 Johnson got. Maybe want to calm down. You compared that catch in week 2 to a playoff game. What's wrong with you?
The greatest playoff game we've ever seen, by the way.
Yes.
You know the Leo meme where he's pointing at the screen and he's like, I've seen that. That was me when I was like, hey, that's the Sky Moore that I've been telling you guys about. That's him. I knew he was in there.
I knew he was in there.
And it finally showed up in a real NFL game.
Man. Big moment too.
I was worried. I was worried that this was just we're gonna write him off. I was ready to do it, and it made me sad. Honestly, I was ready.
It was looking bleak, wasn't it?
To jump on the Rashee Rice train, but I got to tell you, man, we are all aboard Sky Moore, and we need to see more of that. No pun intended. This week,
he was ready to jump. He was like, "The hell with this, man! I'm not gonna hang on to this thing very much longer." The hell with this.
I felt like I picked the Bengals again in the divisional round. Like, this is a losing ticket right here.
But I mean, I don't know. The back shoulder that done it for me. I don't know which it was impressive, man. And
he gets open. I told you he gets open. Never.
Because I'm telling you, the play in which Serta has just irresponsibly compared to a playoff moment, and not to mention,
I just said my reaction was similar. I didn't compare it to the moment.
It's not better when you say that. Like that didn't make it better.
I jumped up and down, was screaming, probably shouting at my dog. I was very excited.
I don't know. I mean, the Hosmer dash or this play. It's some are wondering which one really got him going more.
Stick Salvi in there against the A's. Yeah, I know. You lost. I mean, he cheered as much as you cheered for that 61-yard field goal in Faroe Field this Saturday.
And by the way, Ron, MIZ 3-0, baby, 3-0.
Yeah, all right, there you go, 3-0. Hey, Rock Chalk, we're 3-0 too. But what? It's different.
Yeah, it's a little different on this side of the state.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, baby, these 3 wins, cherish them all. Used to never get them. All right, but no, it was impressive and it was big for him. Because I'm telling you, on the play, literally, I was watching Kelsey because I felt like this is where it's going. And I think they were setting up to get single coverage, and the Jags were having none of it. They immediately covered him up. And then when he gets out, I said, I'm still looking at Kelsey, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, who is he going to throw this to? And when I saw it leave his hands, I said, who is he throwing this to? And there goes 2-4. Somehow all alone made his defender fall on the ground. I was happy for him, man. I was happy for Sky. But I was happy for you guys. You all needed it.
Yeah, who really needed it more, honestly? Like, was it us or Sky?
You all did. Trust me, when McCole Hardman had that 3-touchdown game against the Niners last year, I needed it. I needed it. So I understand.
It's been a rough go for our guy McCole.
Hey, listen, guys, we're talking about champions here and not whatever's happening with him with the Jets. I will say this. Watching the game and watching the Chiefs, and I'm just going to say, are we really going to, and not really we, are the Chiefs more appropriately, are the Chiefs really going to sit here and act like Chris Jones is replaceable? Like, I mean, like if we watch that now, like, did you see? I mean, you watch that. Are they going to sit here and do that? Are they going to sit here? Because I know there are a lot of Chiefs fans pissed off at Chris Jones. BK led the charge. I mean, he laid it out how angry he was at the Chiefs. Although, as I told him, we really don't know what they've offered him. And now we see Nick Bosa. And then last week, BK said, I don't think I would have accepted the deal they gave either. But anyway, I think the Chiefs had a lot of fans on their side. And then they saw that nut come out there at 115-degree temperature on the field in Jacksonville without an ounce of training camp, play 50% of the snaps, and do what he did the last time we saw him in Arrowhead, and that was be the best player clearly on the field, the most impact player clearly on the field, and it's on the same field as first ballot Hall of Famers Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And he was clearly, and he got 50% of the snaps and clearly was the best dude on the field. And I'm just wondering, are the Chiefs sitting there looking at this and saying, yeah, we could Tyreek Hill this. Yeah, we could Tyrann Mathieu this. Yeah. I mean, he's replaceable. No, man. Like that, what that dude showed was, oh, no, this dude is every bit as important as almost as important as Mahomes and every bit as of importance as Travis Kelce. And that's what he showed. So I like people thought, oh, the first week, oh, Chris Jones, oh, they scored, they gave up 14 points to the Lions. Oh, he hurt himself. And then he came back out there against Jacksonville and ruined the whole game. And he played, I think, 30 snaps. Like it's insane. So I mean, I just wonder the Chiefs like, oh, there's another dude out here we could replace because he certainly won the game.
On 29 snaps, Chris Jones had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hurries, and 140% of his pass rush attempts.
What are we doing?
It was one of the most dominant games that I've seen by a defensive tackle in my life watching football. Like it was unbelievable. And for him to do that in his first week back when he had played basically zero football, I assumed he was barely going to play in that game, honestly. Like he'd come in for third down situations and the money downs, like red zone. When they really needed to have a play, you bring Chris Jones into the game. And then they showed the sideline and they you know how this works, Ron. Anytime it's super hot, it's Florida, you're on the turf, they're like, hey, we got to show you what the actual temperature is on this thermometer that we've got over here to show you just how hot it is on the field. And it was like 130 degrees on that field. And Chris Jones just goes out there and dominates the way that he always has. And he certainly shut me up. I'll tell you that much. The other thing about this, Ron, is like, I'm looking at this Chiefs defense right now and thinking about what's possible for them because they were already really good. I mean, really good without Chris Jones. You add him into this mix, and nothing's the same as adding a quarterback. You know, like that's just a different thing. But we remember what the Chiefs offense looked like with the Alex Smith. It was really good, really good. And then you throw Patrick Mahomes into the middle of it, and it becomes one of the greatest offenses that we've seen in the 21st century. I'm not saying the Chiefs defense has that kind of a ceiling, but they went from being a very good defense, like top half of the league, to you throw Chris Jones into the mix. It's not crazy to believe this can be a top 5 unit with him out there, dude. They've got a little bit of everything right now on that side of the ball.
Yeah, they clearly look top 10 with him, or they clearly look top 10 within him, and maybe more than that. This looks like clearly the best defense Mahomes will have to work with, and questions we've asked, clearly a defense that can hold it together until this offense pulls it together. But Serda, when I watch this, maybe you tell me if I'm wrong, and I don't think they win if he doesn't play like against Detroit. I don't think
you don't think the Lions win.
No, I don't know. I don't think the Chiefs win Sunday against the Jags. I'm not sure, because sometimes it's like Mahomes is just gonna make something happen. I don't know if there was just make something happen there. Like I don't know if Trevor gets pressured on 4th down and can't complete the pass if that's not Chris Jones out there. I don't know if some of the pressures he gets down in the goal line, which caused him to be 0 for 7 passing without some of the pressures of him. I don't think they win, and he played 29 snaps.
I agree. And I would just like to point out that I mentioned last week that he showed up to the Chiefs facility looking like he was in the best shape of his life. Just insanely ripped for a defensive lineman the size of Chris Jones. But he was amazing. He was impactful every snap that he took on Sunday against one of the teams that is supposed to be a true contender in the AFC. And I know the Jags had the touchdowns that kept going out of bounds but some of that is the secondary's playing really, really well and getting overlooked for how well they're playing because the defensive line was playing way above where we expected them to be without Chris Jones. Then you put Chris Jones back into the mix, and all of a sudden, this is a dominant defensive line. George has been great so far through 2 games. I am buying into the George Karlaftis has taken a step. You're already getting really good returns out of your first-round pick, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who looks really good in his situational role that he's in. Mike Danna's in a contract year. He's playing out of his mind. And then you add Chris Jones back into this, and Chris Jones is out here to prove all of the doubters wrong. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to get all my incentives, and I'm going to go win Defensive Player of the Year and try to win another Super Bowl because I'm going to get back every dime of that money that I lost. And it was incredible to watch him. It's for a 2-time Super Bowl champion player, for a guy who's stepped up in the biggest moments in the postseason and on the biggest stages. That was maybe the most dominant I have ever seen him on a per snap basis. He was dominant every time he was on the field, and there was nothing they could do about it.
Ron, you gave our guy love. I'll give your guy some love. He looked irreplaceable. That's what we saw. And I'll give you the quote that you're looking for. He looked like the third most irreplaceable play. Let me phrase this differently. There are 3 irreplaceable players on this team. Chris Jones appears to be one of them. And if he continues playing the rest of the way that he did in that game on Sunday, they will have to pay him whatever he asks for. Point blank period. If he asks for Aaron Donald money, you might just have to say, we got to figure out how to do it. You have to franchise him if he ends up going this way, and you figure it out around him. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to make some really tough decisions in the offseason if you end up going that route. But if this is the kind of season that he's going to put together and he is still in the prime of his career, he will earn whatever the money is that he is asking for.
He doesn't look like he's slowing down. He doesn't look like, there's a concern of what happens if you give him this money over the next 3 to 4 years. What's a different? He does not look like he's just going to fall off the cliff next year. That dude doesn't. That, as you said, the shape he's put himself in. He does not look like that. And it was everything that just little things. It's not just his pass rushes. It's in critical downs. They don't have to get crazy with who they're sending to then leave issues up in the back end because they got that dude. And not only they have that dude, and you brought up George and Felix, that dude allows those dudes to go one-on-one. And
that's the most important thing, dude.
And what George is showing is, yes, you let me go one-on-one, I can beat and win pass rushes one-on-one. And hell, Spags is so good at designing things, he somehow gets Chris Jones one-on-one on 4th down. I don't know how. I don't know why the Jags didn't help out that tackle over there. It was clear as day. Wasn't no TN stunt. He was out there. There wasn't a chip. There wasn't anything.
Remember,
4th down. Come get him.
Remember a couple years ago when the Chiefs first started moving Chris Jones outside, and it just wasn't working, and it kind of even nosedived a quarter of his season because they were doing it so often, and it wasn't.
Well, they were just doing it primarily.
They lost the Titans game because of it.
Yeah, and flash forward a couple of years later, he looks like he's just as dominant on the outside as he does on the inside now. He needed those reps and he needed to get used to it, and now it doesn't matter where he's coming from. You can put him anywhere on the defensive line. Like, that's what Aaron Donald does. That's what JJ Watt in his prime did. And that's what Chris Jones is doing right now.
And when
They played pin the tail on the donkey, and the donkey in that game was Anton Harrison, the rookie offensive tackle on the right side for the Jaguars. They said anytime that there is an obvious pass rushing situation, that is the guy that we want to expose with Chris Jones. We used to see this with Peyton Manning all the time, right? He'd go up against the Chiefs and he'd say, who is my target in this game? I'm going up Marcus Cooper. Basically ended his career. The dude just went after him for an entire game and never, ever, ever stopped going after him. That's what the Chiefs did. With Chris Jones going up against Anton Harrison, they just said, this is our matchup. We think that he can expose him, and we're going to get him one-on-ones, and they were 100% correct in that game.
You just can't come to the party right now with Mahomes, as he is the best player on the planet. You can't just come. The other thing we've known is they've had 3 to 4 flat-out great Hall of Fame level players this entire run. And these other teams are building up and doing it. I mean, you take a look at a team that is pathetic, but the Chargers, I mean, look what they build up to try to bring to the party. Look what the Bills are building up to try to bring to the party. Look at the Bengals, what they're going to try to do to build. You can't just say, hey, we got Mahomes, we'll figure the rest of it out. No, that dude has to be on the field. Mahomes is not the only expendable player.
By the way, before we get out of here, Ron, on this, just one quick point on the Mahomes thing. Hey, that contract that he signed earlier this week, remember when we used to always talk about, hey, Mahomes left some on the table. He's taking less. He's doing the thing that no. He's getting his. Patrick Mahomes is not taking less. One of the best decisions he's ever made in his career was gave the appearance of taking less by signing a 10-year deal, so at any point in time, the Chiefs can move money around. It makes it possible for the team and for the player to renegotiate at any time. And what he did quietly earlier this week was renegotiate his contract in a way where he is now the highest paid player in the history of the NFL. That's what he did. Now, it doesn't look that way because he's still got the same deal in place. But the money, the cash flow, the way that it effectively works, he's going to be the highest paid player in the history of the league. And so when you're looking at the Chris Jones situation, just remember that.
And he ain't stupid.
Remember that.
He said, Pat's not the only one getting his, and I'm going to get his. And he going to put, like Chris Jones is playing, like he going to put a season together where y'all going to be like, so y'all really going to let him ride?
The only guy who has truly taken less to stay is Travis Kelce. He's the only one.
And he gets Taylor. All right. That's a hell of a trade-off, to be honest with you. We all know, we are clear that nobody needs this to work more than Brittany. Like Brittany Mahomes wants that friendship, right? Remember the last girlfriend, they got tight. Let Taylor get in the fold. She's probably going over things with Travis. This is probably what she likes. Because if Brittany could get that friendship,
imagine the clothing line they'd come up with together. It'd be great.
Brit and Tay-Tay. Oh my God, man. That's what she is. She is waiting for this. I bet you Travis, she's text Travis. How's it going? What are we thinking here? You wearing that? I don't know. Anyway, all right. When the Chiefs have the ball, we do this every week. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. As much as we talked about Chris Jones and we were impressed with him, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm having a hard time being patient with this offense. And I'm clearly coming to the table with the fact that I am spoiled by what the hell we've been able to watch over the past several years. And not just spoiled, but I know what a good offense looks like and what an offense needs to look like for this team to win for the most part. And they're not even playing like Alex Smith offenses at this point, right? And it is so frustrating. I have watched the first half from the Jacksonville game 3 times. 3 times, and it is Thursday, and we're recording this. I've watched it 3 times. That first half was the most disjointed, uh, the worst I've seen in the Andy Mahomes era. They just couldn't do anything. They couldn't run the ball. They didn't refuse to, like forgot to. They ran it for 4 yards on the first play, and I don't know the next time they did. And everyone looked off, can't complete it. I mean, it was just penalties up and down the thing. It was just so bad. Now they found something at the end of the half, and then they found something with more ball control. But like the big play stuff, forget about it. Like it just they look like they are struggling, and I know that we need to be patient with this wide receiver group. And I know we need to be patient and understand that Travis is not 100% yet. We have to be patient with 2 tackles. And we talked about all the questions that they have. But I need to see a healthy step this week, fellas. I got to see something where it's like, okay, all right, now I feel better, because that 17, that was just a fight to try to get to it.
So I would be talking very differently this week. Like, it's not about how long it's been so far in the season, but it's about the opponent for me. Like, if they were playing at New York this week and then at home against Chicago next week, I would still have a week of patience, because the Jets defense is excellent. And them holding the Chiefs to, 20, 24 points, that wouldn't be surprising, nor would it be alarming. Getting held to 20, 24 points against this Bears defense, having your passing offense struggle against them, that is a problem. Here's what we've seen so far against the Chicago Bears. The Green Bay Packers completed 15 passes for 245 yards with Jordan Love at quarterback, and their leading pass catchers that day were Aaron Jones, Luke Musgrave, Jaden Reed, and Romeo Doubs. The casual sports fan doesn't know who 3 of those 4 names are that I just read off, and they absolutely shredded them through the air. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, just threw for 315 yards and nearly 10 yards per attempt against this Bears defense last week. I don't care who your wide receivers are. I don't care who your quarterback is. If they are competent, and I just mean competent, they should have a field day against this Chicago Bears defense. So this is one of those games where you should be able to go out there and kind of have your way. You don't need to be as dominant as you were in, 2018, 2019. You don't have to be that team again, but you got to be pretty darn good. We should see some signs of, okay, things are starting to come together when you're going to go up against this porous of a defense.
I see it kind of from both sides, though. Like, this is the best matchup you could possibly have for a struggling offense for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, I don't think there's a better matchup you could have in the NFL. They have no pass rush. Their secondary looks like it is one of the absolute worst secondaries in all of football. But then we've seen this Chiefs team play down the competition over and over and over again. And so it still makes me hesitant. Like, are they going to shoot themselves in the foot? Is there going to be lazy mistakes? And the Chiefs got a long injury report this week. Is that going to cause some issues in special teams or other small areas like that? Like, I'm still questionable about all of it, but I still think like they could do all of that. And this Bears defense is so bad, they could turn the football over 3 times and still win by 21 points. Like that's how bad this Bears defense is. So if they don't do it against this team, and I totally agree with BK, next week against the Jets, that's a different ball game. That defense is spectacular. That defense is special. If you don't do it against this team, even if you have a bad game and you're falling flat, Patrick Mahomes should make this look easy. His pass catchers should make this look easy, and they should dominate. So I'm going to feel pretty bad coming out of this game if the offense puts up like 21 points and has 3 or 4 turnovers and they just don't look very efficient at all.
Listen, I just need a healthy step. That's it. Like I'm trying to be patient. I really am. But this is a right. Am I off? Like the Chiefs offenses we know would put 35 on this team in 3 quarters. Like and I mean it would, and I'm not even talking about the Tyreek led ones. I mean last year they put 35 on this team like it was nothing. And man, it is hard to see this offense, what we've seen the first 2 weeks, put 3 on anybody. I mean anything starting with a 3, right, on anybody. And but they got to. Like I mean, I understand it's a long thing, but I'd be like, hey man, they get that, like this team gonna win a Super Bowl? Like if this I know it's early, but like God boy, they like I don't want to feel like, hey man, they got week 10 is when it's gonna really pop. They got those kind of steps to take. Like to me, I want to see, and that's the other thing. It's like the big play ability, like the chunk play ability. That I desperately want to see more of that. I remember crossing my fingers that Justin Watson could catch one of these balls down the field, and then like the chunk 20+ yard plays, which they used to get at will. Like I want to see some movement on that because we haven't been seeing that.
Remember in 21, Ron, the Chiefs had that really weird middle portion of the season. They struggled against Tennessee, ended up losing that game, scored all of 3 points in it. And then you struggle against the Giants. You struggled offensively against, at the time, that was one of the first times that we had seen him, but the Jordan Love-led Green Bay Packers offense, you win 13-7. And we're all sitting here kind of wondering, like, is this offense going to get it back on track? And if it is, it better happen against the Raiders because this is the kind of defense that they typically are able to get right against. And they did. That was the game where they just went absolutely crazy offensively. Ended up putting up 41 points. Mahomes throws for 400. Everything's fixed. We're all good, right? That's what this should be. That's the kind of game that you should have against this kind of a Bears defense. They should be your slump buster the way that the Raiders were in 21.
Yeah, you hope so.
Can you name anyone on the Bears defensive line besides Yannick Ngakoue?
Man,
I don't care to.
You don't need to. You don't need to know who any of them are. That's the point. That's how bad their defensive line is.
Can I be honest? Until you just said it, I forgot that Yannick Ngakoue was on the Bears defensive line.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
I don't care to. I like Brisker. But he's in the second.
He's the only guy there second. Eddie Jackson's not even healthy. He hasn't even been playing.
What's his name? Johnson, the corner.
Jalen.
Not bad. Jalen's not bad. But nah, man, I don't care. I just like for that team, but like with that team, I remember that. Like that team, I was still not really worried because they've got Tyreek, they had Kelsey, they had that offensive line. Like you just knew, like you ain't gonna hold them down. This crew here, man, you don't know. Like you don't know, and I don't know, but I think one thing, it's almost some build on things, right? From this past week, that's what I'm saying. Healthy steps, right? I think Pacheco is someone to build on, like what he did, get him the ball in the second half, and I will be damned if we're gonna go short yardage and get all creative again after that just kept working. Can we do that? Can we do that? Shout out to my guy Rocky. He runs angry.
Huh.
Yeah, shout out to him. Yeah, give him the ball in short yardage. But there's a build there in the run game where let's just not start this sucker. In the second half, like let's build upon Pacheco and give him the ball in the run game. Let's hope he's as healthy as he can be in that game. And then Sky Moore. Sky Moore had a big game, as we talked about at the start of the show. But okay, let's not just make that a one. Like let's continue. Like if Kadarius Toney plays, the little moments he had, you got to see him in his strong. So let's build off of what those guys did. Like that. Hey, is that the best way to get him the ball? That back shoulder throw, or is that something they're gonna do more of? Because that looked really fluid and good. But they just need to build off of some of these parts offensively.
I think part of what we saw last week is they just picked who their wide receivers were. Like I know when you look at the box score and you see the way that they distributed the ball around, it looks like they were just playing everybody, right? But that wasn't really the case. I mean, you look at the snap shares for last week. Marquez Valdez-Scantling played 42 of the 48 snaps. You had Sky Moore out there for 33 of them. Justin Watson was actually their number 3 wide receiver last week with 28 snaps. And then after that, you got to go all the way down to Kadarius Toney, who played 15 snaps last week. He was barely on the field, got 5 receptions on those 15 snaps, but was barely out there. Rashee Rice only played 7 snaps, man. Richie James, 3. Like you're not getting these other wide receivers on the field as often. And I think that was an important step for them because in week 1, I think they were almost cycling through too many of these guys. They were trying to get too much of a rotation going and nobody was able to get in a rhythm as a result of that. I think last week you saw Sky start to get into a little bit of a rhythm, but we've seen that before, whether it's with him or other guys where you can have a one-off. Every wide receiver that is capable can go out there and have one game where you look really good. Now it's time for Sky to be able to put up back-to-back games. Do it against a poor opponent. I don't care what the competition is at this point. Just go out there and get yourself another 60-yard game. Just go be really 4 catches, 60 yards. Maybe you get a touchdown again. Like, that would be a really nice way for Sky Moore to build on what we saw a week ago.
I totally agree with that, because I think it's fun when you're like, yeah, they've got 7 wide receivers, all these guys that could possibly be different playmakers. And like, yeah, but that's fun until there's nobody that Patrick Mahomes can go to when Travis Kelce's not on the field, like we saw in week 1. There's nobody that's in a rhythm. There's nobody that can just watch the play break down and be like, I got you, Pat, the way that Travis Kelce does, the way that Tyreek Hill used to. And you build up that chemistry through reps, through live game action, where guys are actually trying to take your head off. And them distributing the snaps the way they did in week 1 compared to last week, like, that's what you want to see. You want to see guys command to be on the field. And, you know, I still believe that Sky could be a significant contributor. I want to see more out of that from him. But if he's not, then let's see Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice has shown that he can be effective in kind of a simple way when he's deployed, the same way that Kadarius Toney can. He's a big yak guy. He's explosive, and he's shown some ability there. So like, I want to see those guys. I still want to see if Justin Ross can turn into anything, but they need guys who deserve to be on the field and guys who can go out and make plays. And we haven't seen any of that really yet.
And that goes into a part of what we talked about before, the patience of finding out the combinations. All right. They just got, and we've said this, I think they're more talented and obviously more experienced than last year's receiving core. It's now finding out who it is that it's going to be. And kind of sneaking this in too before we go to when the Jags have the ball. Today, Travis said he feels 100% and is not even thinking about the knee. All right. Like, you could clearly see he wasn't himself. And by the way, man, hey man, I hope he lets that damn stash thing go. I mean, he looks angry. He's playing the way Deshaun Watson looks. Like, so I'm just saying, Deshaun looks angry. He looks like he's not happy. Like he's just not happy playing. That's the way Travis looked in Sunday's game, just angry. The whole way. I hope to see the joy out of Travis and shave that stupid mustache off. That's not working, and Taylor doesn't like it. So shave that thing off. So, but it'd be nice to see what if he's feeling better and he can be a big part of this. All right. When the Jags have the ball, I'm going to tell you, I don't have a ton. I just will say I'm nervous. And I'm nervous because this feels like one of those, oh, we know what's going to happen, where everybody comes out and feels like, God, the Chiefs, what they've done to the Lions and what they did to Trevor can read defenses and throw. You see what they did to him? They're going to kill Fields. It feels like, everything about it feels like potential shutout. And that makes me nervous. And then hearing Justin Fields and all the turmoil they have and their issues with the coaches, and he blamed the coaches and then acted like we didn't watch that press conference and like he didn't say it, then came back and said, no, I blamed myself, but we heard you and saw you. And he said, I'm just going to go out there and be me and just say F it. That kind of makes me nervous, just a little bit. I'm not nervous enough to think that they're going to put up enough points, but that's when you got a guy like that that's talented like him with his back against the wall, kind of just saying F it, I'm just going to go and just do me. I mean, they had 4 or 5 design runs the first 2 games of the year. Like, and one of them was a quarterback sneak. I mean, you got to be kidding me with him. I don't think he's going to go crazy or anything, but he's playing Mahomes on national TV. It feels like one of those moments where he's going to give you everything he's got. I don't know that it's going to result into a win or real success, but it does make me kind of nervous of what he's going to get, because I don't think we're going to get the Justin Fields that has sucked the first 2 weeks.
So, Ron, you mentioned earlier in this podcast how I'm a Missouri fan, and my Missouri fandom is informed by the brutality of what I've seen in the past, right? I assume the worst thing is going to happen as a fan. And so when Eli Drinkwitz struggled to, get his field goal unit onto the field and took a 5-yard penalty when it could have been a 56-yard field goal to beat Kansas State at the buzzer instead of a 61-yarder, I knew what was coming next. They were for sure going to miss that field goal. No chance he makes that, because that's what it's like as a Missouri fan. And somehow we found a way to make it. And they proved in that game, it's not same old Mizzou. It could be a little different this year. That's what the defense has a chance to do this week. Previous versions of this Chiefs defense would go out there and they would struggle against this kind of a matchup. Justin Fields would scramble all around. He'd have that F it mentality. He'd rush for 100 yards. They give up 24. They win. Like, the offense goes off. They win 35-24. But you leave saying, guess those first 2 weeks of the season weren't real for the defense. The way that they can do what they can do this week is they can prove to you it's not that defense anymore. This is more of the 2013 defense. This is the 2015 defense. We're reverting back to that version of the Chiefs. And this defense can actually be what carries the Chiefs through the regular season and helps to carry them through the postseason this time around. That is what is on the line this week. Not because I think that the Bears are some difficult matchup. They're not. We saw them go up against their difficult matchups already, and they were incredible in those games. What can you do when it's an easier matchup? Because that's what's coming up next week as well against the Jets. You got another one coming up here in a couple of weeks with Denver. You got some of these cupcakes on the schedule. You got to be able to do it against everybody. And that's what I want to see this week, is for them to just put their foot on the throat of an opponent that is down and keep them down.
I think what I'm most excited for in this game is we haven't even seen the full potential of this defense yet. Like, we're only through 2 games, and the Bears' offensive line was already bad, and then they placed their starting left tackle, Braxton Jones, on IR this week.
He's got the neck.
He's got the neck. And, man, even with, let's say, Justin Fields, and I actually spoke with our friends from WindyCityGridiron.com, part of the SB Nation community, covering the Chicago Bears today. And all they want from the Bears offensively out of this game is progress. Like, they just want, if the Bears score 14 points, but Justin Fields looks explosive and they move the ball a little bit, that's like a big win. It's not even actually about beating the Kansas City Chiefs, because that's how bad it's been through 2 games. And so even if Justin Fields does truly have that F it mentality and reverts to what we saw at the back end of last season, where he looks like he's one of the most explosive players in the NFL and rips off long runs, like, they weren't still winning games during that stretch. He was just fun to watch. Everything else was bad, and all of it is bad. So this defense should absolutely dominate them again, and it should be an easy game to dominate, especially for somebody who is as mobile as Justin Fields. Another underrated part about the Chiefs secondary this season, all those dudes hit. All those dudes tackle. Trent McDuffie tackles. Like, Jalen Watson tackles. Joshua Williams tackles. Jerry Steed tackles. Like, all the corners, the safeties, everybody's trying to lay a hit on somebody.
Jalen Watson's hit last week. Whew!
Yeah. That's another thing that's kind of flown under the radar. Like, their secondary is aggressive, and they are not afraid to go out there and lay a hit on somebody. So I just think that the Chiefs defense is significantly more talented than the Bears offense.
And Ron, I think for some Chiefs fans, they're worried about the fact that Nick Bolton might not play this week. In previous years, that would be a problem with a capital P, because you would have ended up having Darius Harris as your starting middle linebacker, and that would not go well against a guy like Justin Fields. It's a little different this time around. You've got Drew Tranquill, who's been really good for the Chiefs and might actually be a better matchup specifically against Justin Fields. You've got Leo Chanel, who's been one of the breakout stars of any side of the ball this year for the Chiefs. And Willie Gay's been making plays as well, and he's got the speed to be able to keep up with Justin Fields. So unlike previous iterations of this Chiefs defense, you actually have some depth to be able to make up for the possibility that Nick Bolton might be out this week as well.
Yeah, the Nick Bolton and the linebacker situation, that's one to watch, because I do think Justin Fields is going to run a lot more this week than he has. He's had 4 or 5 design runs, including sneaks, through the first couple of weeks. of the season. All right, let's get to it. The game that is sweeping the nation. Serda, go ahead and grab my music. Certified or imposter. This was very simple. Certified or imposter. Serda, man, I'll go with you first. God, I don't even feel comfortable saying that.
You just call him
don't-
Stirred, man.
Do the
Our old that's so inside. No one gets it. Our old boss used to call me that. Or I guess BK probably knows John Hansen.
old Serda
He
man.
called you Stirred, man?
Yeah.
That's John for you. Old Serda man. All right. Certified or imposter. Do the Chiefs have a good offensive line? Like they've got resources up there. They've paid two of these guys. Do they have a good offensive line, Serda?
Yes, they have a good offensive line.
So it's certified, is this?
Yes, it's certified. I understand that Jawan Taylor got some penalties last week, even though I think those were bogus. And all of a sudden, the NFL cares where Jawan Taylor's lined up. Nobody gave a damn when he was in Jacksonville. Now they care because he's in Kansas City.
Serda, we're not going to do this. All four of his weren't illegal procedures for lined up. He certainly jumped offside, or he false started twice. He drugged that guy down on that holding penalty. That had nothing to do with him lining up as a slot receiver, as Chris Collinsworth said. He earned those penalties. It did not
matter when he was playing Thursday night football for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it matters when he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's throw a dozen flags on him. Yeah, that's cool. That's dumb. But no,
he had to get a break in the middle of a series.
Okay, yeah, because he kept getting called for flags.
Nobody's done that
he
since
had to
Willie
chill
Rose.
out. No, I think Jawan Taylor has been fine. They're going to work on that stuff. Donovan Smith, little bit more worried about him, but Jawan Taylor's the higher paid player. Jawan Taylor's the better player. Donovan Smith is the veteran that you brought in. Hope you get something out of him, but he's been serviceable, and the interior has still been good. I'm still very confident in the Chiefs' offensive line, and I'm very confident in how they played for Patrick Mahomes so far.
I think people that are freaking out about this offensive line are crazy, man. I just don't get it. I really don't. Like, we just saw an offensive line that was objectively worse a year ago win the Super Bowl. Like, I think Jawan Taylor's just a flat-out better football player than Orlando Brown. I really do. And I don't think that Donovan Smith is worse than Andrew Wiley. I mean, Ron, all year last year, you were talking about how old 7-7 made you worry. And now we're suddenly out here like,
7-9 ain't making me feel
no, of course, he shouldn't. He shouldn't. But he's not making you feel worse than what you felt last year with Andrew Wiley. He's basically the same quality of player. He's not great, but he's fine. He's a capable NFL starting offensive tackle. Joe Tooney's really good. He hasn't been playing great. Trey Smith had a weird week one. He was really good last week. I thought Creed Humphrey has been basically the Creed Humphrey that we've been expecting. And I think Jawan Taylor, outside of the penalties, which I know is like saying, hey, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? But like, Jawan Taylor's been great when he's been in pass pro, like really, really good. And that's what they paid him to be. So I think this is like, it's crazy that we're even bringing this up as a topic of certified or imposter, but it's totally reasonable because people are freaking out. Yes, it is certified. They have a very good offensive line.
Yeah. I'm not just as confident as you two are.
It's a top 5 offensive line in the NFL.
Okay,
there's a lot of bad offensive line.
I don't know that this. I don't know.
Bad offensive line.
I need to take a look at that first. I need to take a look at that first. Now, my eyes don't scream top 5, but I will be fair to say when I start rolling through top 10 quarterbacks, my eyes don't always say Dak, but Dak is clearly in the top 10 when you start looking at quarterbacks.
100%.
I need to take a look at it. It doesn't feel like it. Here's my thing when you compared it to last year is I thought, well, with the tackles, because that's what it really is for me, is the tackles. All right, they're going to be a lot better in terms of being able to pass protect. That has not entirely showed itself to me. I understand that you said they've been good, but they have had crucial holding penalties, that have called back. In the game, there's a 17-yard gain that gets called back to Kelsey with a holding penalty on Jawan. And then they don't give me as much of the confidence right now in terms of pass protection. And we, at least what we knew last year with that group is they can run block like that. That would, like, we knew that we could do that. Now this group, they, especially with those tackles, they don't do that well. And that is a concern. Now it just feeds into Andy to just say F it. I'll just go away from it. But they don't do that well. And when you combine it with, they haven't been as good as I thought they would be in terms of pass protection, and that includes penalties, and that includes holds, right? Like that. I mean, just think about the last two games. Like the ball Sky Moore caught against the Lions got called back because Donovan Smith had a hold that stopped that drive that would have been a hit on the quarterback, and it happened against the Jags. So, I'll say certified. I'm not feeling great about it right now. I need to see them pick it up a lot more because I knew they'd take a step back running the football in terms of that, but I thought they would take a step forward in pass protection, and it's not quite gotten to that point. So I'll say certified right now because I ain't gonna stand on the fence, but I got to keep it up. They got to pick it up. They got to pick it up. Okay. That doesn't make me feel more comfortable. That doesn't make me feel comfortable.
In fact, I think top 3.
Really? Eagles, Lions,
Chiefs.
There we have the Chiefs.
Got
them over the Niners.
The Niners have a bad offensive line.
They have a questionable right side. All right. Predictions. I'll say this. This game to me, and I don't love it, and I know this is going to frustrate me. This game feels like the home game last year against the Rams.
Oh.
Where that Ronnie Perkins fella, whatever his name is.
I forgot all about that game.
I don't know if it's Ronnie Perkins, Perkins.
Bryce
is that
Perkins.
his name?
That's
Ronnie.
his name.
Let's
Yes.
go. Bryce, Ronnie, whatever. Where, they didn't have a chance. He ran and got a couple of first downs. It was weird and got him. I think it was like 26-10. I think like 27-10 to me. I think the Chiefs defense will dominate and the offense will take small steps but still frustrate the hell out of you and not put it on this team the way you would expect to. I'm going to say 27-10 Chiefs.
31-13. It's not close. The Bears are an abomination to the NFL and should be relegated to college football. This is an embarrassment of a franchise right now with the way that they're operating. Like, get out of there. 31-13. This is easy.
I'm not going to be as harsh on them just with my words, but I think the Chiefs win 35-17. And I'm only giving them 17 because I'm giving Justin Fields a little bit of benefit of the doubt here and him saying he's going to F it and play that kind of game. I hope we see some sparks from Justin Fields. I like him as a player, but the Chiefs should absolutely cruise and just crush them.
Get him to New England. He needs to get out of there.
Y'all got 30. Y'all feel good about 30, huh?
Yeah, the defense scores 7.
Oh, so the defense gives it in. All right, I got you. Okay. I can see that. For me, I feel like they're gonna get some touchdowns, and Harrison Butker's about to bang out some field goals to run it up. It's gonna be like that Cowboys score a little bit last week against how many 5 field goals they kicked. I feel like that's the game
against the Jets. They did kick a lot of field goals because they kept getting interceptions and weren't even trying.
No, yeah, but I think the Chiefs will be trying. All right, all right, let's go, man. They better beat the Bears and beat them handily, and we'll be back to get ready for the sorry ass Jets. That's coming up next week. We are out.